Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WODcast podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Ifft. Here we are. It's the week of the Open. I am not participating. Why? Because I don't need to spend money to find out where I rank against other people. I figure that is just basically a donation to CrossFit. And do I like CrossFit? Yeah. Do they do something for me? I don't know. I don't know what they do. I like my CrossFit gym that I go to. I like my instructor, my coaches. I like, but do I feel that they need an extra $20 to administer the website? Sure. If I was competitive, sure. If I had a chance of going somewhere for something, sure. Do I? No. So is it worth it for me to give them $20? No. Sorry. You can come at me for that. I'll stand by that. Have been doing that for, and I don't do it because I would get competitive and then I would probably get hurt. So I don't compete. I looked at the first workout, looks brutal. Don't want to do it. Yeah, be fun hitting that time cap. That's what would happen to me. Anyway, if you're a first time listener to the show, we talk CrossFit, we talk health, we talk fitness. This week we do talk CrossFit a lot because my guest is Snorri. I said it wrong. Snorri Baron. I can't roll my R's, but if you're from Iceland, you can do it. He is a manager of some of the top CrossFit athletes in the business. I mean, Sara Sigmundsdottir, Ricky Gerard. He calls it Gerard. I say Gerard. I would guess that I'm wrong. Who else? He's got Roman, the Russian. He's got BKG. He's got everybody. I mean, it looks like the podium this year could be Snorri's. Look, we're never going to ever count out Justin Medeiros and Tia Claire Toomey from winning. I mean, if you ask me, they've got it won right now. But when we're talking second, third, numbers like that, I think Snorri Baron's roster is looking very, very good. He was a really awesome guy to talk to, really understands the business and what it's like to manage and brand an athlete. And he's just a fun guy, really interesting, intense dude. And I want to thank everybody that listens to the show. I want to thank you. Just if you listen, thank you. If you participate by joining our Patreon and donating, you're incredible. Because this show, look, we don't get a lot of ads. I don't make a fortune from this show. It's kind of a labor of love. And I keep doing it. Why? Because I meet really interesting people. I have you guys come out to my shows when I'm touring. And I really like talking this stuff. And I like picking people's brains and finding out information and relaying it to people out there like you. And I hope you've learned a lot from the show. I hope you've been entertained by the show. How long I do the show, whoever knows. We're over 500 episodes. You get an episode every week. If you donate $5, you get a chance to win a Myopucks and a Leopard Claw. Check them out on roguefitness.com. That's the Myopucks and the Leopard Paw. You get them both. It's about $450 worth of stuff that you get if you win the drawing. And guess what? You got a really good chance you're going to win like Dennis Bedford. Congratulations, Dennis. Now, we are backed up. I owe Matt Garcia, I believe Matthew Hussey, John Ware, Steve Rigby. I'm looking at a number of people. If you haven't heard your name and you're like, wait, you still owe me. We will be sending them off. If you haven't, send me a message letting me know that let me know that you are that you didn't receive yours, and we'll check the records and everything. We'll get them out to you. Little backed up over there, but they're going to be coming straight from the manufacturer now instead of through Troy, who is our man there. So that is just going to take a little bit. You're just going to have to forgive us a little bit late, but you will get them. We've given out like 400 of these things. So other things that are going on. I'm touring. I got my tour schedule right here. I am right now about to leave my house This is how much I make sure I get on tour and go. My flight was canceled to Boston because there's a giant snowstorm coming in. But I went, fuck it. They closed the airport. Boston can't get in tomorrow morning. So I'm flying to New York, getting an SUV, and I'm driving to Boston. Yeah, I'm going to monster truck it the whole way there. So pray for me. And I'm going to be at Laughs in the Westin Hotel. It's Laughs Boston. Next week, I have a corporate in Las Vegas. You guys can't come to that. I mean, it would be very awkward if you guys showed up at that and all these people, these realtors that I'm doing a show for, and if you guys want to hire me for a corporate, I'm very available. I like them. They pay very well. You have a business, a company, you want me to come in? I like doing them. Then I'm in Costa Rica, just on vacation, sipping margaritas. I don't think I'll be drinking margaritas, but then I'm at the Ventura Comedy Club on the 18th and 19th of March. Then I'm in Las Vegas all week at the Las Vegas Comedy. I'm at the Comedy Cellar in Las Vegas, 21st to 27th of March. Come see me. Then I'm headed to Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Steamboat Springs, Colorado, 8th and 9th of April. 13th and 14th, I'm in Vail, Colorado. 15th, 16th, I'm in Denver at the Denver Improv. 21st to 24th, I'm at the St. Louis Funny Bone. And I just had a cancellation. Then I'm in Las Vegas again, May 2nd to May 8th at the Comedy Cellar. Then I head to Minneapolis. I'll be at the House of Comedy, Minneapolis, May 12th to 15th. Then I'm at Rooster T. Feathers in Sunnyvale, that's California, 19th to 22nd of May. And then the 25th of May, I'm at Cobb's Comedy Club. That's going to be a big show, Wednesday night, Cobb's Comedy Club, San Francisco. And then the 26th, I'll be in Seattle at Crocodiles. If you guys want tickets to those shows, let me know. Those are big, important shows, the 25th and 26th. That's a Wednesday and Thursday night. That's Wednesday in San Francisco and Thursday in Seattle. So I love to meet you guys. I love when you come out to my shows. I appreciate your, coming out, meeting me after the show, yelling out during the show like you all do. You always want to ask about Ronnie Teasdale or Where's Hunter or Crazy Bobby. So I enjoy you. I enjoy your participation and your community spirit. I like meeting you guys. So keep coming out and let's see. I think this is just a matter of, I want to wish you all luck with the Open. Listen, don't take it too seriously because you don't need to get injured. Don't go too hard. And unless you got a chance of qualifying. And then the other thing, enjoy this episode with Snorri. I didn't say his name right again. We talk about it forever on the show. But really, really enjoyable episode. I hope you enjoy. Any questions, send me messages on @EddieIfft in Instagram. I'm crushing it in TikTok right now. My @EddieIfft in TikTok's doing really well. Nobody talks to me on Facebook anymore. Is Facebook dead? You tell me. Is Facebook dead? Send me a message, not on Facebook, if you think Facebook's dead. And check out the WODcast podcast. We've got a YouTube. If you guys want to watch it, you can watch all these episodes on YouTube. And that's about it. So let's get this episode started. And this episode is brought to you by 8 Sleep. Check them out. If you want to get the Pod Pro cover, it's $150 off if you use 8sleep.com/WODcast. And can't recommend them enough. I talk about it so much. My wife just said to me last night as we were in bed, she goes, I don't know how I can sleep in another bed. And that's exactly how I feel. She didn't say that about sleeping with other people. She just said other beds. Just kidding. She's going to smack me in the head. All right. Well, enjoy this episode. So teach me how to say the name.
It's Snorri.
I will remember. I don't think I could practice for months and years, and I don't think I could say that. I took Spanish for 5 years, and I still can't roll an R.
Yeah, I mean, you either got it or you don't. I think it's not something that will come naturally to anyone. You're either born into it or you can't do it.
So look, you work in the United States a lot. Like a lot of your clients are over here competing. How do people address you then?
Snorri, it's something like that. They just do some fucked up version of my name, and I can live with it because it's not an easy name to pronounce. So I empathize with that.
Snorri.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't roll an R.
No.
I didn't know that was an Icelandic thing.
Yeah, well, it's really big in the Icelandic language. We're rolling all kinds of letters, and the R's in particular.
That's weird. I thought that was just a Spanish thing.
No, it's an Icelandic thing. The Spanish took it from us, I think.
So Iceland, is Iceland considered Scandinavia?
I think to anyone who sees this little small dot close to Scandinavia, that they just include it with it. But to us Icelanders, it's definitely not Scandinavia. We got nothing to do with that.
You're completely different.
Yeah. Well, we're cut from the same cloth. We are all those. We all have that Nordic thing, and originally Icelanders are Norwegians, I think, that just went out sailing and stumbled upon this rock and decided to settle here.
So it's all Viking stuff.
It's all Viking stuff, yeah, completely.
I used to everything that I've done in life, I get really into, and I used to be really into drinking. And
I'm with you there, man.
and I used to travel around the world. And one of the things that was said was that the biggest, heaviest drinkers in the world are the Vikings, like Norwegians, not particularly Swedish, but they said Norwegian, Icelandic. Is that true?
Yeah, I think it is, but it's not in that proud way as you give it some grace. You give it gloss. There's nothing glossy about how we drink. It's the culture is just to get completely shit-faced. Really? And in every sense of the word. I mean, passing out and urinating on yourself. That's the objective when you have the first drink. I mean, so it's more that.
We have that in college in America. There's kind of that mentality of, hey, see how drunk you can get. I think things are changing.
You never grow out of it. That's the difference.
It only took me 20 years after college to stop. But like Russia, I mean, I had all these arguments of like who Australians are the biggest drinkers, Germans are the biggest drinkers. Russians really drink. They drink in a scary, like depressing way. They drink to like
their culture is to do those vodka shots at any given convenience, so they build up this great threshold to hard liquor. So that's their thing.
But isn't Iceland known for vodka?
Vodka, among other things. I mean, vodka isn't an Icelandic staple of drinks, but it's available in every bar here, and it's definitely something the Icelanders drink. But this old Icelandic drinking culture, of course, it has changed over the years. But the stereotypical one is you drink pretty much anything you can get your hands on to get drunk as fast as possible. But
you are sober now, correct?
Yeah, I've been sober for 26 years now. So I hardly even remember what it was like. I probably wouldn't have remembered anyways. But I had quite a few days where I didn't remember what I did the night before. So that's why I quit.
You quit pretty young then.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
I went to rehab when I was 19, going on 20. I had my 20th birthday in rehab.
Holy
so
shit.
That's very young.
Yeah, that is.
But I hit the ground running also, it's my first drink at 13 and I never looked back. It's just, I just went blazing. So
did you try
that's why I didn't last longer than through to 19.
Did you try it all? Were you into everything?
I'm maybe not going to go into it, but I did some shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's usually people that are very intense, and obsessive personalities, people that I believe successful people, if they're going to succeed in something, if they get into drugs and alcohol, they succeed at that too.
I mean, I was very competitive there. I mean, if it was a sport, I was professional. So that's where I was at. That's my level.
So what year did you start CrossFitting, or were you doing like strongman shit, or what happened? How did you get introduced to CrossFit?
So in 2013, I believe it is, a CrossFit box opened next door to where I was working. So a group of us from the place I was working at decided just to go into an introduction class there at lunch 4 times a week. And it stuck for a year. So I had been introduced to the glory and the magic of CrossFit. I had been introduced to that in 2013. I never paid any attention to the competitive side of it. I didn't have a clue. I knew of Annie Thorisdottir because she had become a legend in Iceland at that time. So I knew of her, but I probably wouldn't have been able to recognize her out on the street. That's how little interest I had in it. But apart from that, I just loved what we were doing there in the class, the mixture of movements, never knowing when you went into class, you were going to do something totally different than the day before. And I got in pretty good shape, and I surprised myself with so many things. All of a sudden, I was interested in doing activities on weekends instead of just laying in the sofa and watching TV. So it did change a lot for me. So my positivity towards CrossFit was molded there. I was very positive to all things CrossFit. And for anyone bashing CrossFit, I would go fist forward on that, because I had experienced the greatness and the glory of it. Yeah. But it wasn't until in 2015 or 2016 that I actually started working with someone from CrossFit.
Was that Sara?
That's Sara, yeah. Talk about baptism of fire. I just started working with her, not some low level.
Like the number one athlete in the world. Let me ask you this. So Annie Thorisdottir, when you say was she a household name in Iceland?
Yeah, for 2 reasons, or of course more reasons. She's an incredible athlete, and she had become the world champion in a sport that no Icelander had ever heard of. But whenever an Icelander makes it in the news somewhere outside of Iceland, it makes the news in Iceland. So she did get a fair bit of press coverage and had been endorsed by some local brands. And there was stuff that kept her name and her persona in the media. So yes, in terms of all things CrossFit in Iceland, she's the one that brought it here in that sense. She's the one that introduced Iceland to CrossFit.
Yeah. Well, she, what was her year that she won? She won the year Kalipa won?
I think it was 2010 and 2011, if I remember correctly.
Wow. And Iceland has the population of like small states in America.
Yeah, of Mobile, Alabama. Like, it's 300,000 people here. Yeah, 350, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
that's crazy. But yet you guys, I've read a lot about Iceland and like your government and the way you do things. And you usually, I mean, it's easy to do when you have a small government. You know, it's hard when you're
easier, at least, yeah.
But you guys do some pretty cool, innovative shit there.
There is something in the water here. Literally, there is a lot that comes out of Iceland that is remarkable, and we have. In that sense, we have so many world-known people, not only the athletes, we have musicians, we have Siguros, we have Björk, we have Kaleo, who are an American band to America, but they're all Icelandic, even though they live in Nashville. And we have scientists, businessmen, entrepreneurs. We have a lot of people that have made it in the big time on the global stage. So it's not even a news story here anymore. If some Icelander makes it big time somewhere else,
what do you attribute that to?
It's I have been asked this question before, so I have a trained answer to it. The simple version is no one told us we can't. No one has ever told me that even though I have limited education, I have a background of drug addiction, I have so many things going against me, but no one ever told me that I can't. And no one ever tried to put me down to the level that I would just have to settle for a lesser life or a lesser role in life, because it's not the Icelandic mentality. We don't put people down here in that sense. And we don't have the hierarchy. Even though you're born into a situation where you don't have all the opportunities from childhood, it doesn't go to say that you can't carve those opportunities out for yourself. It's the distance from, if you have a talent for something, it isn't that long from when you develop that talent until you get the opportunity to use it. And I mean, that's how I meet Sara Sigmundsdottir, of all people. Just started trying to piece out how I could fit into some interesting individual's life. And she's the first one that I get the chance to partner up with. So that doesn't happen anywhere else but in Iceland. It took one mutual friend to connect us.
But you also have a really, really good educational system in Iceland too, don't you?
You do, but I have never taken any advantage of that.
But for the most part, though, the country's highly educated.
Yes, it is. It's a highly educated country, and we have tourism that pays our bills as well. Yeah. I mean, we have some incredible sites here. We're the point between Europe and America. So a lot of in-transit flights stop here at the airport, and you might take 2 or 3 days where you go visit the Blue Lagoon, see a couple of waterfalls and the glacier and stuff, and then you fly back to the next destination. Meanwhile, we bleed you fucking dry. So that's where our money comes from.
I have sounds like Hawaii.
It's pretty similar. I'd assume.
I have toured all over the world, and I've performed everywhere from China to Africa to the Middle East. And I've performed in Scandinavia a bunch, but I have never done shows in Iceland. I would like to do that and get some of that money back that you've been bleeding from people.
We'll bleed you too, man. That's the way it goes.
No, you know who does that to me is Vegas. I go work in Vegas. And by the end of the week, I'm like, wow, I think I spent more money here than I made.
Than you earned.
Yeah,
exactly.
I work in casinos, and I'm walking back to my hotel room, and I'm like, I'll just play blackjack for a little bit, just a little bit. I'm just gonna, like 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I'm gonna play blackjack.
I know what you're going through there, man. It never ends well. Yeah.
No. So are you still working with Sara?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And so, who are some of your other clients? You got a number of them.
Yeah, I've got a number. It's been one by one since 2016. The next one was BKG, who was also a high-level CrossFitter and Iceland's most accomplished male. And then from there, it started spreading out to athletes from other countries. I work with Roman Krenikov, who recently got his visa, so he can go and crush the games. I work with Kelsey Keel, American. I work with Emma Lawson, the fittest teen on earth. I work with Olivia Sulek, who's the second fittest teen on earth. I work with Gabriela Migawa. She's number 6 in the world, and she's terrific. And I'm probably forgetting a bunch of people because this is always us.
I understand.
Don't stop here. I hope they understand.
Yeah. I know how it is, and I know how sensitive athletes can be. I'm a comedian, and I've got a manager, and if he doesnking mention me, I'm like, oh, how did it? And I've learned to overcome, like when he's on the spot. I understand. It's just like, I'm like, I hope you didn't forget my name when you're meeting with Paramount Pictures.
Exactly.
But my question to you is, with all these athletes, because CrossFit is an incremental sport and there's so much data and it's so much data driven, you kind of know where an athlete stands and how they're going to perform and how they're going to do. There are some chaotic factors. There are some things that can come into play, but let's take Roman for an example. He hasn't been able to participate in the games because the visa issues the past couple of years. And I forget, didn't he win the Open one year or?
No, not the Open. He won the European Regional in 2018, where he just came out of nowhere.
But I think he's also been like top 10 in the Open
Never, because he's never been doing well in those online competitions. Those haven't been his forte. Okay. He has been, because we have a lot of athletes who crush the online ones and then they don't do so well in the live competition. He is the direct opposite of that. He always does well enough. You know, it's not like he's in grave danger of not progressing through the open, but his forte is on the field, and he has some incredible tolerance to pain. He's got the skill he has in just enduring stuff, going hard on the rower, running forever, going through some of those weirder exercises and workouts. He can be very, very good at those. Those object workouts and that.
How is he with top end strength when it comes to like?
It didn't used to be a strength of his, but for the past 2 years, he's sacrificed a little bit of his speed and other things to build his strength. And now he's on par with the good guys there as well. He's doing really well in strength events. So he has become a more complete athlete with each year that passes. So in a way, him qualifying now he is really, really ready to challenge for the very top slot at the games.
Okay, so that you really think he's got a chance?
He's absolutely got a chance. He's absolutely got the toolbox.
Because you represent another guy who I think
who also has a chance.
Yeah, you got two guys.
BKG has every chance in the world too. But those guys are just the top level, you know. They're both at the top.
What the hell are you going to do if it comes down to the two of them against each other?
I'm just going to go and cry. You know, it's an impossible situation for me because I've gotten to know these guys. They're not only athletes that I represent. They are close friends of mine by this point. We share a lot of stuff. We talk a lot. We engage pretty much on a daily basis. There's some communication between us. So this is like a nightmare scenario to me, even though it's a luxury scenario at the same time.
Well, I think it's good. I'm glad that we're going to see him. I've always wanted to see him compete, and also Ricky Gerard this year.
Who is another guy who I just started working with as well.
Wow, you got them all.
I've got 3 guys now. Yeah, I've got one of the most consistent guys in CrossFit history in BKG. And then we have Roman Krenikov, who everyone has known has something really, really special about him. And then we have the comeback of Ricky Gerard, who I believe he has all the tools too. I mean, he has demonstrated some incredible motivation.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I just want to say,
please
I'm very sorry, but I have a dog right now that I need to go put up for adoption because he won't stop barking, and I'm gonna put him outside. Just give me 1 second.
So I'm pissing the dog off. Okay.
Yeah, no, I am. 1 second. Sorry about that.
No worries. I have a dog too, and he can. He sometimes isn't tuned with my mind, so I know exactly what this is.
I got 3 of them, so they drive me nuts. Okay, so we're looking at a very, very different year here with Ricky and Roman. And you think Roman is a top 5 finisher? He's a podium guy.
Absolutely. We don't know what the workouts will be comprised of, if there will be a totally different scenario now that Dave's gone or whatever. But Roman is a versatile guy. He has worked on the weaknesses he did have, and he is as game as they come. He's got nerves of steel. That nothing is going to intimidate him or put him off his beat.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Can you explain to us what the visa issues are and why he couldn't come to the States?
Yeah. So for an ordinary Russian, it's not like you just book a plane ticket and fly to America. The immigration in America is very strict on who is allowed into the country, and it depends on treaties between nations and all kinds of stuff like that I don't even have the brain or the skill set to explain. But it's not like every Russian gets granted a travel clearance to go to America. And this is not on the Russian side, it's on the American side. So immigration evaluates each applicant from should they let him into the country or not. And for some reason, Roman was always denied. And it's not like he has a criminal record or there is anything of that sort. Yes, he served in the military, but so did every fucking one else, because it's mandatory over there from age 18 or something. So he spent 1.5 years in the military. He never shot anyone. He never saw any of that. So the reason is, the first time he applied, it was probably just because he didn't speak a word in English. He didn't have the know-how to really know how to apply. And then a row of different things happened. But the last time, which was ahead of the 2021 games, we felt like we had enough for him to get accepted. Eric Rosa had intervened. We had his whole thing of events that he had won. We had other athletes giving him a glowing report. We could very well prove that Roman was going to compete at the games and then he was going to return home, because that was the point. He is denied entrance to the United States on doubts whether he will ever return to his homeland, that he would defect to America. That's the way we understood it, at least. But this time, in 2021, he ran out of time, because you don't just get an embassy interview in Russia like that. It takes weeks, even months. And he went through the last chance qualifier. Instead of getting straight through the semifinals, he had to compete in Asia, because Russia was classified as Asia, and it was only 2 slots from there, not 5. So only 2 out of the Asia region could qualify. It was a online competition, and he came in 3rd. So he had to do the last chance qualifier, which he crushed because he needed to, and of course he won it. But by that time, it was already late June, and he didn't have time to get the interview in the embassy, which would have granted him the clearance to then get a visa and then travel to the United States. So there's that. Yet another disappointment, the 4th year in a row. But after that, he was approached by a couple in America. The woman is of Uzbeki descent, which is one of the former Soviet regions. She speaks Russian. And she had herself been granted a visa and everything some years prior. So she knew what he had to do. So there was a different method presented to him. He was connected to a lawyer who specializes in this. And all of a sudden, the wheels started moving. So we just needed to supply documentation and fill into a protocol. And it worked. And then a few weeks back, we were notified that it was highly likely that he would get granted. So he went and got vaccinated, and he went and did those final things he needed to do to be permitted to travel to the United States. And then he just got it. So, and that was last week. Happy days.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's going to be so interesting after all those years, getting to see him finally compete. Now, let me ask you something. As his manager, you know, you're in this to be successful and make money. And I know they're your friends and you believe in them, but how marketable is an athlete like that in Russia? I mean, seeing that he's the top Soviet or top Russian athlete in CrossFit, is there a giant market for it in Russia? I mean, are companies like Rogue and Nike going, hey, you know, we get this athlete, this is a whole market we can open up, and there's a bunch of people, there's a lot of people CrossFitting in Russia, and they, you know, those are there dollar signs there?
There haven't been dollar signs, no. It's a growing sport, but it's just the sport is so different to anything else. You know, he has a guy that lives nearby, Petr Yan of the UFC, the champion in, I think, bantamweight in the UFC. And he's got all the sponsors and all the dollars and everything, because he's in a sport that has this global reach of people who also just eat hamburgers and drink beer and watch someone get knocked out. CrossFit is predominantly watched by other CrossFitters. So the CrossFit market is basically fit people. So and it's a lot tighter market. It isn't really in live broadcasts on TV. Yeah, you can log on to a stream or something, but it doesn't have that same reach yet.
You're telling me I started this podcast years ago. Joe Rogan is a buddy of mine, and Joe said, "Hey, you do CrossFit. You should do a podcast about it." And he said, and then all the people that do CrossFit will come to all your shows, and because he gets all the MMA guys at the time, especially, they would come out to shows. And like you said, guys that watch MMA drink beer, like fights, go out. Guys
train.
Guys do CrossFit, don't drink, go to bed at 8:00. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a CrossFitter. I'm like, "Hey, I'm in your town." They're like, "What time's your show?" I'm like, "Oh, it's I got one at 8:30 and one at 10:30." And they're like, "Yeah, I'll be in bed, dude. I have
exactly.
I have my last shake at 9:30, and then I have to sleep, and because I have a 6 a.m. Training session where I'll after I do
first session of 3 is at 6 a.m. Yeah,
the absolute worst. But it's so funny. My opener was just saying, my opener has a podcast, a sports podcast, and his fans come out to see him, and they're like the fat beer drinking slobs and then every once in a while, one of my fans will walk up and he's like, "Yeah, I'll bet this guy listens to your show." And I'm like, "Yeah,
exactly." Yeah, but it's funny from a marketing standpoint how CrossFit is in a way a cult. Yeah. And you can spot CrossFitters from a mile away because they will be wearing some of the CrossFit endemic brands. You don't see a fight fan in a Rogue shirt, for example, or there's a lot of brands that are only in CrossFit or are predominantly in CrossFit. And to answer the question about Roman, it has been very, very hard to convince brands to bet on him, especially when he didn't even have the possibility of being on the biggest stage. He has had some sponsors. Those sponsors have come out of affinity for him and out of betting on him and wanting to be there for him. So it hasn't only been a business decision when he is getting sponsored until now. Now all that changes. Now he has the world at his feet. Now he can travel freely to America, which is the mecca of CrossFit. That's where CrossFit, where the CrossFit business is. Mm-hmm. So there are fresh things in play now, finally, but there hasn't been a lot to talk about. And he has frankly needed every single penny of what he's been able to earn just to withstand continuing this visa journey. It hasn't been cheap. He has had to travel all over. A New York lawyer costs a lot of money per hour, So he has spent pretty much everything he has ever earned on it. But now he has the platform to earn all of it back and then some.
Yeah, and it could pay off if he wins. So, and I imagine, Russia has such a, huge background in like the Olympics and Olympic weightlifting that there's probably some tremendous athletes there, and it's probably a growing sport there. And if CrossFit could grow there and has the opportunity to grow very big, and like you said, like Annie being a national hero, if he could win this, becoming a Russian hero type thing, and then,
it will be massive for Russia. It will be massive for the community over there, and for the growth of the sport. That's absolutely for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I just saw Patrick Vellner today. Is now being. Did I say he left Reebok and he's working with TYR?
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies that get into this sport, and they get in and you see them kind of dip their feet in, and it's like, I've always thought you can't dip. You got to go full force into CrossFit or you're not going to make it. And, how much do you want to
That's what TYR are doing. I believe that they will be successful. They are putting, just like Noble were very successful at it as well. I mean, Noble wasn't a brand they started in CrossFit and are branching out of it now. I think TYR are, of course, or tier is what it is.
It's the North
tier. Yeah. So they're a 40-year-old company or something.
Yeah,
they have a background in swimming and in triathlons and in all kinds of stuff. So they they have history and they have infrastructure, and they're not just some guys in a garage that thought it would be cool to start out an apparel brand.
Well,
They mean what they're doing.
I'm a fan of any company that was the top of their sport. And when they, in swimming, when you looked for something in swimming, I grew up, my young years in swimming, and tier was everything. It was like they owned the sport.
In competitive swimming, they are competitive swimming.
Right.
That's what they are. No one can touch them.
So I do have faith in them. Nike's a powerhouse. And when Nike came into CrossFit, it was like, of course, they're going to figure it out. They figured out hockey. They figured out, there's very few sports that Nike has gotten into that they haven't succeeded at a crazy level.
They went into golf and just signed Tiger Woods. Yeah. It's just, they have the muscle to do stuff like that. Yeah.
So, but like Reebok, when Reebok came into CrossFit, I thought, what has Reebok ever dominated before other than aerobics? And and it was like they were not a dominant, you didn't think basketball Reebok, you didn't think baseball Reebok, you didn't think football Reebok. And they did kind of get into NFL, and they were pretty successful in NFL and getting the jerseys and team jerseys and stuff like that. So, but for the most part, they did dominate CrossFit for a while. Now
they were the name sponsor. Some of the athletes, whether they had other preferences or not, they had to wear it at the games.
Now,
and Reebok did develop a pretty fucking good shoe too. The Nano is a good CrossFit shoe, so that's what they've always had.
I'm a connoisseur of CrossFit shoes. Today I wear Nikes. Sometimes I wear Pumas. Sometimes I wear Reeboks. Sometimes I wear Innovates. And I've got to say that the Reeboks are a damn good shoe. It is like, when it comes to a CrossFit shoe, I don't know if it gets any better.
And from there, it's your preferences. It's not quality. The Metcons are quality too. And pretty much everyone is getting it right now. No one gets it in the first try, or that's really hard. But those shoes that have been there for a while, it's just, what do you prefer? What feel are you looking for, and what look are you looking for?
Sure. So you representing all these athletes, you can't be married to one of these companies because you're soliciting all of them to try to represent your client. For years, a good friend of mine, I don't know if you've ever worked with him because he's worked with everybody, but Hunter McIntyre.
Of course. But we're not formally acquainted, but he did some work with Sara. They did a promotion together, and they're friends. So I know of him. I know his manager. So definitely. And I love that guy. I find him to be a breath of fresh air.
He's a maniac. And I've always told him, I'm like, you need to get the big shoe contract. Like, the shoe contract is everything. And that's pretty much in all sports where it's, the shoe is everything. Is that the same in CrossFit?
Yeah, it's the shoe / apparel in CrossFit. It's not only the shoe, but the shoe is the profit margin of the company. So to the company, it's a shoe, but usually it's shoe and apparel together, or footwear and apparel. And that's very much the dominating source of income in sponsorship money that the athletes have. The biggest deal is usually the apparel deal, be it Nike or Reebok or any of those brands. That's where the athletes get the baseline they need to live off, and hopefully a bit more than that.
So tell me about Innovate. And I don't want to put you in a corner, paint you in a corner where you have to say something. Innovate, when I first started CrossFitting, it was the shoe that everybody discovered. This is even before Reebok developed a shoe, where it was like, all of a sudden, here's this trail running shoe that's amazing to do CrossFit in. And to this day, I still think it's maybe the best shoe I ever wore for CrossFit. And I used to wear their trail running shoes, and I just thought it was a great company. But at a certain point, things changed. They, I don't know if they were bought by another company or something, and it just seemed that they didn't care. Like, here's this giant, like this behemoth of an opening for them to just dominate the sport, and they let it kind of slip by. where, everybody was wearing their shoes like this thing's the best. And then all of a sudden you couldn't get them. They weren't available. They couldn't keep up with and then all of a sudden Reebok and Nike jumped in and kind of stole the market share. What happened there? And now I see they're trying to get back with the Panchicks are wearing them, and
Dan Spiegel and some others. Yeah. I don't know their past. Yeah, I don't know their past history that much. I haven't been in communication with Innovate more than maybe 18 months at best. And I have had some conversations with them. I've never had a successful dealing with them, hopefully sometime in the future. But I'm surely not going to shoot my foot off here by saying something stupid.
Right. But well, me neither, because every shoe company comes to me and wants to do something on the show, and blah, blah, blah. They send us stuff, and never from Innovate. They don't even, and I'm like, you guys, this market's like dying for you, and people still love their shoes. But
that's what everyone says. People really do like their shoes. It's more you either like the way they look or you absolutely don't. But everyone seems to agree the functionality of the shoes, the feel of the shoes, it's a damn good shoe. So everyone is in agreement about that. And yeah, they probably could be activating more, but shit costs money. And there have been just post-COVID or during COVID, the supply chain of all those brands went to shit. And the challenges they were faced with, because it wasn't only COVID, it was also just strikes in Asia, strikes all over. The raw materials started to cost more money, and it was just a chain of clusterfucks that everyone was faced with. So maybe they just got a really, really bad end of that. I don't know. But I think you're referring to them pulling out just before the climax or something like that.
Yeah, so that's what they did.
Before any of this happened. And I wasn't there when that happened, so I don't really know that whole story. I personally, I wasn't aware of Innovate until maybe 2019 or something. So I think you are referring to a time that is maybe 2015 or even earlier than that.
Earlier. And it just seemed like there was an opening then for them to take over the sport. And this is pre-Reebok developing a shoe, and where they, and you would try to get them, buy them online, and you couldn't find them anywhere because they were selling out constantly. And it's like, you're a manufacturer and all of a sudden you see, oh, well, this is a pleasant surprise, like we didn't even know that they lucked into it. And, but it's like, they didn't lean into it. They were like, maybe they were, just diehard trail runners and said, hey, this isn't our sport. And
there may have been it wasn't a cultural fit to the people who worked there. It may have been that they were faced with, they have to gamble some serious investment on it. And they may have decided, let's wait. Let's see how this transpires.
Well, if anyone listening knows anything about this, anyone works for Innovate, please contact me. I'm dying to know, like, why you guys didn't take over the world with
your next podcast. Just reach out to the owner and get him on here.
I've had them on. I've had the Puma people on. It's funny. If we talk about anything on the show, the stuff that gets the most traction is shoes.
Okay.
People go nuts over shoes. Like, it's really weird how people.
And it's the same with CrossFit shoes, like any other shoes. It's the new colorway of this or the new fit of that or the new that. You have to have all of them. And I have often joked about CrossFitters because it's a demographic that it's a middle-class sport in a way. It's predominantly a white middle-class sport. I don't know if I'm permitted to say it, but I'm just speaking facts. And that's what the audience really looks like to me. So a lot of people go and do CrossFit alongside their healthy career, alongside paying their mortgages and starting their families and all of that. And they can afford to make lifestyle choices like buying a new pair or two every single month, even though they don't need them. They just want the new Metcon in this colorway to fit with these shorts so that you look a certain way in the crowd you're mingling in, which is your CrossFit box.
So Sara, who is one of your top athletes, is she still a Nike athlete?
No, she converted over a year ago to WIT, which is a smaller brand. It's a UK-based brand. WIT, whatever it takes, it's a shortening for that. They're a retailer as well, so they have their own brand. They offered her the chance to create her own line, which she launched in September, and she's also a equity partner in the business. So she just made a different type of a business move, very premeditated, but they offered her something that she had always dreamt about, because Sara isn't only an athlete, she is a visionary, she is a creative. So to get to influence, it's not only prints on pre-produced fabrics and fits. She's literally designing the sports bra of her dreams. She's designing things that she has thought about and hoped for as a muscular female that she hasn't really felt that the brands have ever really been able to do. So when presented with a chance to get some of those things, she had a sketchbook with a bunch of ideas before this came up. So that's the driver for her, to be able to do her own thing and put her own footprint on.
Does WIT just do apparel, or do they also do shoes?
They haven't done shoes yet, but no doors are closed on that. But WIT is like probably, at least in Europe, they're the biggest retailer and online shop of all those CrossFit endemic brands. They sell a shitload of Nobles and Nikes and all of that as well. So they're in a kind of strange situation where they are retailing all those brands and then they're creating their own brand as well. But so far, it hasn't proven to be a clash.
So as their manager of these top CrossFit athletes, and I know you work with people in other sports also, are you is like, we're talking about apparel and footwear, but wouldn't a supplement company be one of the bigger sponsors also?
Yeah, they would. But the CrossFit audience is really skeptical there. You can get a bodybuilder and he will just eat up anything you tell him to eat. Well, now I'm pissing off all the bodybuilder friends I have, but really they're not looking at the same things. They couldn't care less if it's paleo or vegan or whatever it is. They just need this amount of protein and this amount of carbs, and then fuck you. CrossFitters, there are so many wannabe scientists, and there are so many know-it-alls, and there are so many people who think they have cracked the code on literally everything they can think of, and those people happen to be CrossFitters as well. So, and there is there's a really strict protocol within the sport of CrossFit, in the competitive space, of course, where the supplements you use, they have to be certified by NSF or by Informed Sport, or else you might be fucked. And a few of the athletes who have failed a drug test have pointed out, have even gone as far as having their supplements tested and have proven that there was contamination, and they still receive a lengthy ban. So the supplement space as a whole, in terms of the way CrossFit HQ and the sport of CrossFit views it, it's not as much of an easy ride as you would think. But still, there are very big supplements companies, and some of the athletes have big supplements sponsorships. I mean, the greatest of all time just launched a supplements line, Podium Nutrition. So it's there's a lot brewing in the supplement space. So this was a way longer answer than I planned it to be. So yes, you can get a really good supplements deal, but it's not as easy as the apparel deal would be.
Okay, now as a comedian, I have a talent manager and a talent agent. My talent agent is supposed to procure my work. My manager manages my career and tells me what decisions to make, and envisions what my future is, and what kind of the agent brings us work, and then my manager decides what work we should take. Like that's that's not the good for your brand, or we think we should do this, or this is our goals to do this, and the agent just throws it to us and we say yes or no. Then so my manager's not out trying to find me work, but that's in your business. It seems like you're both talent manager and agent.
You're helping me finally realize the difference between the two, because I've never really known. I thought this was two different words for the exact same thing. But then again, I never received the manual for any of this. I wasn't raised under someone who gave me guidance or whatever. I stepped into this as a marketeer, as an advertising guy, as someone deeply interested in helping individuals build their social media, get their brand, look at themselves as brands, get their brand ID in line with their character, and build an image out of them that could make it easier for brands to identify them as potential partners. That was my drive. It wasn't really making any of those deals or engaging with anyone other than the athletes that I was working with. I figured I would be working alongside managers who would then bring those things together, who would then grab this stuff and make use of it to maximize the potential of the athlete. But this sport friendship and trust that was built really early on between me and Sara. It's just, we genuinely felt like working together. We genuinely felt like we were a good fit for the journey she was on, and her goals soon just became my goals. And I got very well aligned with whatever it was that she needed. So I was just a man who just figured out if she needed a new bed, or if she needed a supplement sponsor, or if she needed a plane ticket to there and from there to there. I was the guy who was tasked with that thing so that she could be all the athlete she wanted to be. And that's how it started. I've just been picking it up ever since. And when you say that you have a manager separately to an agent, that's Chinese to me. That's it's like in the CrossFit business.
It's a pain in the ass, and it's
those guys get along. Well, that would be my first question.
Sometimes they don't, and it's good. It's a good thing, because sometimes your agent will try to make you take work that in the short term it'll be good and it'll keep them working with their agency, but in the long term it'll ruin your career. So your manager says to you, "Don't take that job." And I'm like, but my agent thinks I should. And he's like, yeah, because your agent has quotas he's got to make. We're looking long term. I have, you got to pay 10% to your agent, 10% to your manager. I have an agent / manager in Australia that handles my Australia work. He does everything for me. I trust him enough that he can make all my decisions. He brings me work. He never says, he lets work come, and he's a great, and he handles it all. It's a perfect situation. So I think the overlap in America is just a bunch of people trying to get their hands involved that don't need to. Because, then you get lawyers involved, and now we all have social media managers, and so I have
creators on top and all of that.
I have a social media team, which kind of eliminated publicists, which they were, and it's funny, they're still lingering around, and it's like, sorry, you guys are antiquated and unnecessary at this point.
I would have thought publicists would have just moved into this role. That this is the new role of a publicist.
I mean, if they haven't, 10 years ago, I saw this coming. I was like, but guys, you
Mhm.
better. 20 years ago, I was like, you better figure this internet thing out because you're gonna.
There are no tabloids here anymore, you know.
But I'm starting to believe that in the future, the social media manager will take over the job of the manager, because the social media,
In a way, what happened with me, if you, to
yeah,
be perfectly honest, I mean, I was a glorified social media manager to start with. That's the angle I would have preferred in the beginning. It just surprised me how much I did enjoy the business aspect and how well I've done in it.
yeah, because I would think with a lot of these CrossFit athletes, that's where their presence is. It's all in
Mhm.
social media. And CrossFit was one of those sports that like developed through social media, and more than anywhere, more than
Yeah,
like more than most other sports,
I really agree with that.
because
I
like
really
football,
agree.
baseball, basketball, all the big sports, they're still TV sports, where
Yes,
CrossFit is an
and the
internet
athletes
sport.
get paid from their team. There is no imminent push on them to really build their social media to survive. A
Right.
CrossFit athlete needs the social media to be able to fulfill the sponsored duties to be able to survive. So
And-
it's a completely different business model.
Yeah. And even with this show, being a podcast, I don't know if I consider podcast social media. I guess it is, because it is social, it is media. But like, I don't have, for this show, I don't have a big presence when it comes to like Instagram or YouTube or anything like that. But I do with the show. The show's got we've got a pretty big following, and we do good advertising and stuff like that. And it's interesting because it's all run off this, how marketable are you? And everybody wants, if you want to get into CrossFit, there's only a few places to get in. And it's one from the athletes, and the other is through, you're not going to get in through CrossFit. CrossFit headquarters is not letting outside. I mean, they will take sponsors of the games and things like that, but there's very few outlets. So the athletes are such a great way to tap in and buy into the sport. So, I mean, your job is so necessary to,
and I feel that as well. And we build relationships with those sponsors that I think must far outweigh the sponsor relationships that many other athletes from other sports have.
Yeah.
This is such a win-win formula, and it is so rewarding on both ends, and both can feel it when it works. There's a little example that I have from recently that Sara partnered up with a gadget device called the Toe Spacer, which a lot of people love to hate, but no one will really admit that they actually bought it, though. And even fewer will admit that it's quite a genius thing. It's a really simple thing.
Tell me what this is. I don't know.
Spaces your toes. It's like a rubbery thing you place on your toes to space them out a little bit, because it aligns your foot better. It gives you so many different benefits. I cannot explain a single one of them to you, but it's the athletes who have been using this, who buy into this methodology, they really feel a difference. And it only costs $30. So even though you bought it, it costs just as much as one dinner or whatever, So people buy it. And I'm
weirdly going to look into it, because I have a thing called a neuroma. And
you have to do that.
I was in ski boots 12 hours a day for years of my life, because I used to be a ski instructor. And what happens is, like, if this is your foot, your foot is squeezed together. It happens to ice skaters too, like hockey players. And the nerve that goes in between the bone, the sheath wears off of the nerve. So that the nerve is exposed, and when the bones get pressed again together, so
massive pain.
The way to
is it massive pain?
Oh, it's like pain you've never felt. I'll be skiing. I have like orthotics. My boots are specially formed to my. I've spent so much money on boots, but one of the things that can alleviate it is I wear toe socks, and I wear this company Exo Skin that makes these really good socks. I wore them for like ultra marathons and running, because it allows your toes to splay. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what this device is. And they are just raising awareness for foot health, something that so many people had never even thought about. Sara makes one post about it, and the next thing I know is a message from them. Hey, this is the biggest success we've ever seen from one post. And that's where I feel, okay, this stuff works.
Yeah.
But the reason why it works is because the post she made is actually authentic to her. It's actually her telling you about something that she discovered, that she's actually using, that she actually loves. She just had this aha moment when she tried it. And now she wants to sleep with those things on because she feels so comfortable with them on. But that's besides the point. It's when you pair an athlete to a brand and they authentically tell their audience about how they use it, it works.
Yeah, authenticity.
And those are the glory moments that I experience, is when, wow, we made this happen.
It's funny with this show, the advertising that we do, we want to make money, but at the same time, I know, like you said, CrossFitters are cynical. They're skeptical. They don't trust anything, especially when it comes to a supplement company. And so I vet
gadget like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Some simple gadget that actually works though.
So I vet all the companies that we advertise, and I literally say, like, before we sell the ad to them, we say, I have to jump on the call with them, and I sit and talk with them, and I try out their product. And I don't want to sell it if I don't believe in it, because I know that the people listening to this show will go,
they're not going to buy it.
Foolish
they're
shit,
not,
Eddie.
Yeah,
You're
exactly
shit, and you don't believe in this. We right now have a company, Sleep 8, which I know a bunch of, the top athletes are using the bed. Justin Medeiros, Annie, I believe, uses it. Thor's daughter.
8 Sleep. You mean it was 8 Sleep, right? Yeah, I've been looking into that brand recently. Yeah,
I just told my friend Mariel Hemingway, the actress. I talked to her for like an hour about it on the phone, and I was like, "You need to get this bed right now." And it is, it's the greatest thing in the world. Like they could pull the advertising tomorrow and I'll still be talking about it for the rest of my life. It is, it's like I just talked about Innovate and how great they are. They don't advertise on this show. I think Innovate made one of the greatest CrossFit shoes ever. 8 Sleep is ridiculous. It is. And so when they said, we want to they let me try it. And they said, we want to advertise with you. I said, you don't even need to. Like I'm
just going to talk about it.
I love this bed so much, like getting into a warm, cozy bed that then cools off for me when and lets me sleep cold, and then warms me up when I wake up. When I'm waking up.
Awesome. That's amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I do know this. I told somebody this the other day. I got like a sleep score of like 9. It tells you your sleep data. I got a sleep score of like 90% one day. And I went on stage that night, and I've never had the words come out of my mouth so effortlessly and so perfect. And all my jokes are written out and I've said them 1,000 times, but there's likes and ums and oohs. And, I'm trying to remember stuff.
Of course. Yeah.
My mind was working perfectly. And
because she slept so well, or what was that deal? Yeah.
Because it was one great night of sleep that I knew I got that perfect night of sleep. And I'm on stage going, that's what it is. It was the sleep. It was, and so I've been
reaching to the choir. I'm getting one just later tonight. Yeah.
So good.
And every single athlete should use something like that. Anyways, their sleep even matters more than ours, So it's
they're insane if they're not using these. If they're not using a bed like this, they're insane. So, but it's good. But like you said, the authenticity, the real belief in a product, I think shines through when an athlete uses it. I heard the story of who was it? Fraser was when he was on Rogan, he mentioned that he was using
beta-alanine. Yeah, and it's sold out in the world afterwards.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Hilarious. Everybody's like, that's the secret. It's the beta. It's not the fact that he works.
It's not like he discovered it. A lot of people have been using beta-alanine for many years, but the way he put it made everyone rise up and have to have it.
I think
really funny,
the quote,
but he actually used it. I think he was just. I don't think he was trying to market beta-alanine.
No, he wasn't. He said
he was just saying that's one of the things I used and one of the things that generated a difference in the way I felt.
But the line he used, he said, it's like having a third lung.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. And who in CrossFit or in any endurance sport whatsoever doesn't want a third lung? Well, yeah. So it was brilliant.
So we had a company that had a beta-alanine product, and I went and tried it then. And, maybe, I don't know if you've tried cocaine before, but I felt like I was banging off the walls. I was like, what does this do to me?
Really?
Oh my God.
You get something like that out of it. You felt such a clear difference.
Oh my God. I took it. So I'm very sensitive. I can't drink caffeine. And so I drank the energy drink with beta-alanine in it. I worked out probably around 11 a.m. At 10 p.m. that night, my wife was like, can you stop talking? And I'm like, what? She's like, you're talking really fast. And
you were just like you were on speed.
Yeah.
And
it was like 12 hours later. And so the energy I felt from this, I was just like, I have friends come over and I have a whole refrigerator full of it. I'm like, they'll come over to work out and I'll be like, here, drink this. And I'm like,
that's awesome though, that you did experience it like that. I must admit, I just didn't do that trial. I'm yet to do that beta-alanine beta test that so many did. But from what I heard, most of these people have a cocktail of some sort to give themselves that pre-workout buzz. Yeah. So do any of those people who added beta-alanine to it or not, there probably was some beta-alanine in it even in the first place. So it's not like those at the highest level I am dealing with really did feel a difference or had to do something about it. But someone that has never tried it, it's the same with caffeine. It's the clearest difference that I feel in my day is before and after the cup of coffee. It's magical. It's that one espresso or two espressos or 10 espressos, which is probably closer to the truth. That's what fires me up. And that's why I'm so hyper right now. I wouldn't be like this if I hadn't had plenty of coffee today.
See, I can't drink it, and I have it affects me too much. So to be honest, the beta-alanine, like, sure, if I was going to compete, if I was on like a competitive level CrossFit, I would do it. But because I don't want that feeling after I work, like I don't need to perform at this level where I'm like smashing records so I don't want to get there. So that's why I don't drink caffeine, because look at me already, and it just takes me to another level where I'm like, hey, anybody want to?
Yeah, you don't need to be there.
A wall I can wallpaper
already.
Yeah. So
this brings another thing though, which is the intrusion of Monster Energy, because we were talking about authenticity, and I heard a lot of people jump on the negativity train towards that. The fact is, caffeine is a big component in most of these athletes' lives, and they all do a pre-workout of some sort. And I don't know how many times I have seen athletes just empty a can of an energy drink, not necessarily a purified energy drink that is vetted as one of the clean energy sources. It can be Nocco, or it can be Red Bull, it can be Monster. A lot of athletes love the white Monster. Way before Monster ever became a sponsor or a partner to athletes. So there's a bit of hypocrisy there, because it's not only the athletes, it's in the box. You see people before the workout starts, many of them are drinking those energy drinks. To me, it's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant to CrossFit.
It's funny you say that, because I've got a lot of friends in the surf world that are and action sports world that are represented by Red Bull or by Monster. And, a lot of these guys are super healthy, but those are their sponsors and they want the money. Now I know that Red Bull, and I'm not sure if Monster does it, they supply the athlete drinks, which are just water.
Yeah. So I mean, that was the joke at the games. Everyone had water in Monster cans. It was even it wasn't even a secret. It was just water in the Monster cans.
Yeah.
But why would you even drink Monster after a workout? It's something you drink before it.
Yeah.
So you want water afterwards, and that's what it was. And in a way, that's completely fucking ridiculous to me. And it's as a branding guy, yeah, it's visibility. Yeah, if you wanted to get your brand out there and get it even that it would be ridiculed would be a good thing because everyone would be talking about it. I understand it. But the inner value of the brand is the product itself. And placing it in the hands of athletes after they work out, it's just the wrong positioning. They wouldn't be drinking it at that moment. So it isn't really telling the truth about what you would have wanted to say about the brand in the first place.
Yeah. I think they're used to the old model of like, skiing or whatever, where, they pop their ski up and stand up, and then you put the hat on them and you put the drink in their hand. And it's just like, let's just brand it, get in the picture. But that was pre-social media. That was where we see these guys at their house, what they're doing, when they're working out, when they're not working out, when they're going to the movie.
So much more access now than you did.
Yes. I am going to compare, when it comes to marketing and branding, CrossFit as a sport mostly to something like surfing, where surfers get lifelong sponsors. And I've talked to Hunter about this. I said, you've got to get like 6 sponsors. You got to have one, shoe sponsor, one apparel, one supplement, and one, whatever it is, programming. And you got to like live with them, and you got to like be them for your whole career. And you've got to swear by them. And if something falls through and you got to pick up another one, you do that. But then people associate you with them. Like you associate a surfer with the board they use. You associate the surfer with the board short or the sunglasses or the, whatever it might be. And CrossFit,
I wholeheartedly agree with this. And the loyalty between the brand and the athlete goes both ways. So when the athlete gets injured, the brand is still there because they know the return and all of that. So it goes both ways. And I have experienced this firsthand with Sara, for example. None of her sponsors left when she had her injury scare. So, and that's because she had been loyal to them the whole time before.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. Because I think, it's up to your sponsors to get you through that. Because they invest in you. I mean, I know I've had Ryan Flaherty, who was Nike head of performance training, on here a million times. And Ryan, talks about like how much Nike invests in their top athletes. And that's why they have Ryan. Ryan was in charge of their training to make sure that those guys were healthy and they would perform at a top level. And so, and those athletes get hurt all the time. And,
part of it.
Yeah. You got to bring them back, and you're invested in them. So,
but then again, with CrossFit all over, your social media still stays relevant, whatever is going on in your life, even though you get hurt or whatever, your audience is still following your story. Right. So with CrossFit not being this TV sport, not being this sport where the truck drivers and everyone else just sits in front of the TV, cracks open a beer and starts watching, those are things that the athlete doesn't become irrelevant, even though they have to sit out a season. They're still a person that you're deeply interested in because it's a CrossFitter that has a lifestyle that's relevant to your lifestyle.
Okay, so for interest in time here, because I've actually gone over, but I like talking to you about shit. This is such a great, I'm having a great conversation with you. I know you're a guitarist.
Yeah.
What do you play?
I am.
You look like
what type of music?
You look like a speed metal kind of guy to me.
Well, I'm a metal guy. That's what I'll tell you, but I'm not a speed metal guy. It's I come up in the 80s is my childhood, the 80s and 90s. So a lot of the music there definitely goes all the way into the heavy stuff. So but I was always more intrigued by Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, those guys. So yeah, I can blaze on the guitar. That's where that's what I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do. And I had the guitar in my lap from morning to evening through my whole teens and into my early 20s. But then that music dream just kind of faded away, and I transformed into the creative industries. I went into advertising, which evidently then led me to starting to work on branding with individuals, which then led to management. So that's my transition.
Yeah. So you still play though?
Yeah, every day. I mean, I have the most comfortable moment I can have in my day is after I eat dinner, which is I don't know how late. I will sit in front of the TV with my guitar in my hand, and I'm just playing the guitar. The TV is at a low volume, but I pay attention to what's on it, and I kind of put myself to sleep. So wow. That's like the absolute moment of calm in my life. And so if I wouldn't have that, I don't think I would have the life I have.
Are you sitting with an electric guitar or an acoustic?
Either or. It depends on how I feel at that moment. But I am more of an electric guitar guy. But I never hook it up at this time. I'm not keeping the neighbors up at this point in time. Then I have a room here at my office which has all my guitars and amps and all of that. So I sometimes just, if I need to I get this urge. I just need to get something out. It's probably the same urge as just having to punch a punching bag or having to go and train or whatever. I get this guitar urge where the amp is turned to 11 and I just go nuts. And that's the type of release I sometimes need to have. And I can do that at my office.
That's I'm an amateur guitarist. I am one of the worst guitarists in the world, and I love it. And
I'm pretty sure you'll find someone that's worse. There's always someone worse.
I don't think there is. And I've got a bunch of neighborhood friends who are all in bands, and there's a guy down the street who's one of the greatest guitar players of all time. His name's Albert Lee. And
I know exactly who that is, of course. Yeah.
So Albert lives right down the street, and I always go ask him questions about guitar, and he always tells me to shut up. And I will go sit down with these guys and go, look, I've been working on this song. Can you help me? And they'll go, I don't know what that song. And I'll go, well, these are the chords. And then the song I've been working on forever, they'll just play right in front of me, and I'll go, you don't even know the song. And they're like, yeah, but I know the chords. You just told me the chords in the strum pattern. I'm like, I gotta
quit. Well, don't ever quit. If you enjoy it, do it.
Oh, that's what my one friend told me. He said, he goes, you play music because it's cathartic. You sit and you play he goes, why do you work out? And I said, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It makes me feel good. Because that's all it is. He goes, you're not supposed to be good at it. He goes, just feel good. And I was like, all right. I still hate how bad I suck at it.
Well, keep on at it. One day you won't suck anymore.
Yeah. So will you be coming over for the games this year?
Absolutely. It was 2 years I couldn't travel to the US because of COVID. I will be taking as much advantage of the US as I possibly can. I've been there twice now in a short space of time. I went to Austin for the Rogue Invitational. I was in Miami for the Wodapalooza. I might make it out for one of the semifinals, and I will definitely be there for the games. That's for sure.
I was going to do Wodapalooza there. We were talking about me doing a comedy show at Wodapalooza, and I just couldn't put it together with my schedule, but I think it'd be fun to do. And I was talking to Matt O'Keefe about it, but now that he's not with Leighton Live, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I think
I hope they keep I hope they keep raising the bar on that event, because it is unique. It's terrific. Wodapalooza is like nothing else. And it's in the name. It's this palooza feeling. It's this Woodstock of a fitness event. It's you are at a festival, and it's not just a competition. It's a festival. It's a coming together of thousands of people. So they actually made they made an event that is unlike anything else, and they have to keep it going.
Yeah, well, I might see at the games then. If people want to get a hold of you or see you, or if there's any sponsors out there looking to work with any of your athletes, how do they get a hold of you?
I think my Instagram would be the safest way to go. Just DM me. I mean, that's how we connected. So it's a surefire way to connect. I do check whatever comes in, and a surprising number of connections have already been made that way. So
it's amazing how much.
Snorri Baron at Instagram. That's the way to connect with me.
Wait, say that again, because I was interrupting.
Snorri Baron. It's my first name and my middle name, Snorri Baron. SNORRIBARON.
Okay.
There you have it.
And again, you have an amazing client list. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys compete, and girls. And but I think these guys, this is going to be a really exciting year with
there's going to be a real storyline around the male field.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then don't count Sara out, even though she sat out last season, even though she's had some injury problems. Just wait and see.
Well, hey, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do the show. It was awesome talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. So hopefully we'll see each other in the not so distant future.
Okay. And you guys know what to do. Rate, review, comment, and check out my tour schedule at eddieifft.com.